Lithuania says it will take all the necessary measures to protect its airspace after a series of air balloons created severe disruptions. The incident follows drone incursions into Romania, Denmark, Poland, and Estonia, all of which is putting the European Union on high alert. Joining us now is Lithuania's Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Euronews. Now, the obvious question is, was this an incident or is this the start of something perhaps more sinister, a hybrid threat?
We stopped treating it as the incident. There are too many of those, and the Belarusian regime is in full control of the situation on their side of the border. In purpose, they would see the situation different, and they would be interested in changing it. They have all the tools, and they do, as the minimum, nothing. And we were, as Lithuania, threatened very directly by Lukashenko that he will use cross-border crime as the tool to put the pressure on us. And this is another case that he is using it. That was illegal migration. Now it is the meteorological balloons.
And can we ask you, of course, the government has said that it will shoot them down, that it would also consult with NATO and European allies. But I wonder, when it comes specifically to the balloons, do you know what's in it? Did you have time to assess them? And what's the conclusion so far?
They are big meteorological balloons that are filled up with different gas, and the size of the cargo on it is up to 30, 40 kilograms. So this is a huge object in the sky. And the thing is, when they are letting them out from Belarus, and because of the wind, it goes into our airspace and it disrupts our civil aviation. So already last week, more than 100 flights were disrupted. They were reorganized or rerouted to alternative airports, and there were more than 10,000 of passengers that felt the consequences of it. And of course, it goes with another collateral damage that is done by these activities. So we know what is in there. Basically, those are the cigarettes, but the very substances of the less matter than about the carriage, the very system, the meteorological balloons in themselves.
And can I ask you, you have said that when European leaders stayed together, dictators back down. Obviously, that's a reference to Lukashenko. Just very simply, do you want to see more sanctions in Belarus, and are you going to get them?
Yes, we want to see not only solidarity, that we're really thankful, and for the same political assessment of the situation, that it is the hybrid attack against one of the EU member states, and we want the sanction regime to be strengthened against Belarus. As the first step, we have to put additional criteria for sanctions. That's the hybrid activities against the EU. We haven't done it yet. It is for Russia, but not for Belarus. And then we should go through the sectors. And one of those sectors is aviation, for example. That is not yet sanctioned. And of course, all the other financial institutions. Belarusian regime has to feel consequences for the activities that they do. And it's our obligation to respond.
And sir, obviously you talked about Lukashenko and Belarus, but I have to wonder, is Russia in some way connected? Because you yourself, you've talked about this very deep connection between the two of them. And in a way, Belarus has taken orders from Russia, certainly when it comes to Ukraine. So do you see a connection? And ultimately, do you believe this is a Russian strategy to create chaos in the European air traffic?
We see that these are the actions of Belarusian regime right now, with the assistance and allowing the crime being organized across the border. And of course, it plays into the hand of Russia, and the consequences are the same as they are trying to impose on us with the GRU, for example, operations in our region. That is the goal, to increase the tension in society, to decrease the trust in the government, and also decrease the support to Ukraine. So it is one element from the broader strategy. But you claim right now that it's in a full coordination. We need additional data. We are not manipulating and speculating about it. That's why we're very exact when we're saying this is the hybrid and this is the Belarusian regime.
Okay, so at this point, you're not making that assessment yet?
Not yet.
What kind of feedback are you getting from NATO? But also, what kind of questions would you like to bring to the table when it comes to NATO?
We should address it as the hybrid activity. NATO also has the capabilities in countering hybrid activities, the special dedicated team, the analysis, and also some tools. So we need this assessment as the minimum. And then moving from this on, we will see what additional measures are needed for our air defense. This falls into the broader topic and spectrum of the air defense capabilities that we so badly need in the region. That is integrated air and missile defense that would be effective and deter the fighter jets that are violating our airspace. Last week, 2 fighter jets violated our airspace, NATO airspace. We need credible systems that would deter that. And also we need the specific elements that would be countering drones. Now, drones also entered our airspace. One of them was with explosives. So now we have meteorological balloons. Everything that is happening in airspace, that's the NATO responsibility.
Absolutely, but the question is, and this is a follow-up question, this is NATO's responsibility, but the fact that they keep happening and in such a short amount of time, what it would signal is that whoever is doing this, I know you don't want to make the connection with Russia, and you say this is Belarus at this point, but what they seem to believe is that they get away with it because your response is simply weak. So how are you going to change that?
That's the point. That's the very exact point. If we cannot deter by denial, we cannot just deny our airspace and they're entering, then we have to deter by punishment. And these leverages of punishment, these tools are sanctions, first of all. And the very exact and strong message, it is not allowed. And you will suffer damage for it, for what you're doing, because you are causing damage on our side. So this is how it has to work. And till the point when they would stop these activities. We have very good examples how we manage the situation, for example, with disrupting the critical infrastructure in the Baltic Sea, or with the drones activity. It dramatically dropped. There are no drones now entering our airspace after the Eastern Sentry operation was launched by NATO. So same with the air balloons. We have to put measures that would work for Belarus. And this is pressure, nothing else.
And if you put them forward, however, do you believe there could be any form of retaliation from Belarus, or we're going to enter now a permanent period of escalation?
I think that they would review what they're doing. I won't guess around what's their goal, but they would stop doing it because if they see that there is a damage done, they cannot operate in the way as they did previously. And we will go our path till the very end, as we did with instrumentalized migration. We brought Belarus to International Court of Justice. So for these activities, we will calculate all the damage that is done, and we will also require the response from the country and also the accountability of the country that is involved there, Belarus.
And, sir, you talked about the drones and anti-drones that you will need. Of course, the Commission pitched the idea of a drone wall, but that created a mixed debate, mixed reactions from your European counterparts. Some of them believe simply the European Union cannot recreate an Iron Dome. That is not objective, is not realistic. What steps, however, do you want to see from the eastern flank?
It has to be strengthened, and resilience has to be built here on the eastern flank. I would prefer to call it the front line because of the so many activities that are happening here. If we cannot deter it, then we are moving to through the spiral of escalation to another level, and that another level can be very hot. And we want to avoid this. So it's much cheaper to build the deterrence in a peacetime than to build the capabilities and reserves and everything that is needed for the wartime. So we have to invest now. We have the good initiatives, good flagship projects. One of them is counter-drone wall. Also, we have the Eastern Flank Watch initiative coming from Commission. We have to implement it. And if someone has doubts why to invest here, then that person or that country will see the consequences in their land, because it will go deeper into the Europe. So it's time to invest it here and to build the resilience that can be then copied elsewhere in the continental Europe.
And do your European counterparts understand that? Because when the idea of the drone wall was presented, some of the southern European countries said it's not just about the eastern flank. This is a full project, and it also has to include the south. So I wonder, do you feel 100% supported by everyone around the table, or is this something that's getting lost in translation here?
I get more and more support and understanding about it, and also solidarity with the very recent activities with the violation of the airspace. And I fully agree that it has to be 360 approach, and we have to address all the security challenges that are in front of us. But right now, an immediate challenge, an immediate threat is the airspace violation on the eastern front line. So let's address that. We need same capabilities elsewhere. I'm in support of this. And I truly believe that EU has to step up and put the money where the problems are, because we are not only the economic union. We are also a geopolitical actor with a very, very difficult neighborhood.
And you talk about the money on the table. Lithuania is one of the biggest spenders when it comes to defense as a percentage of GDP. I also know you had very difficult budget negotiations. So the question that comes up every time is, should the European Union at this point present a plan for joint debt for defense? This was done in the pandemic. COVID was seen as an existential threat. Is defense not an existential threat for the European Union?
Yes, we are reviewing our taxes, we are increasing spending, we are also borrowing, we are using the safe mechanism, European Union. If we will see that there are additional instruments needed, like joint debt also for investments, that's the way to go. What else is more important than security right now? Everything else is unimportant if we cannot provide security to our citizens.
And sir, I want to ask you just on this point a very final question, because there's obviously an aspect that is really about money. When it comes to Ukraine, it's now clear that Russia should pay for the damage and not the European taxpayer. All the European leaders agreed on that last week in Brussels. But there is still a question as to how to structure this reparations loan. What is your preference and what would you like to see?
I heard all the arguments and all the considerations about the risks related to it, economic and financial. I was very open and addressed them all. And the conclusion was from our experts, from the legal experts, from financial experts, that we can deal with it. European Union has the instrument. The European Central Bank has the instruments and credibility and respect in international market to deal with the stability of euro. And now when we have this additional model and an additional way how to organize it through loan that would be used as the guarantee for reparation, this is even more gentle way how to implement it and reduce the risk on the individual member state, be it Belgium, and it also puts the shared burden and for the managing the risk on the all other member states, and we are ready to do this. We are ready to share this responsibility, and let's go for it. Because otherwise, actually, I do not see many alternatives here.
Minister, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us on Euronews.
Thank you for having me.